It's 3 a.m., and you're staring at the ceiling, your mind racing like a runaway train. The same nightmares keep haunting you. Certain people trigger an inexplicable rage or attraction. Myths from ancient civilizations, Greek gods, Egyptian pharaohs, Native American spirits, feel so eerily familiar, as if they're whispering secrets from your own life. There's a hidden code woven into the fabric of humanity, a blueprint that explains it all. That's the enigma of Carl Jung's archetypes, those primordial forces lurking in the collective unconscious, pulling the strings behind your every thought and action. Tonight, on Midnight Paradox, we're diving headfirst into this psychological abyss. This journey isn't for the faint of heart. It might just shatter your illusions and rebuild you stronger. Ready to peer into the void? Let's begin. Jung wasn't just a psychologist. He was a modern-day explorer of the soul, a Swiss thinker who dared to map the uncharted territories of the mind. While his contemporary Sigmund Freud obsessed over personal traumas and repressed desires, Jung went deeper, venturing into what he called the collective unconscious, a vast, shared reservoir of human experience inherited from our ancestors, like a psychic DNA passed down through generations. Archetypes, he argued, are the building blocks of this realm, universal patterns, images, and instincts that shape how we perceive the world, behave in crises, and even fall in love. They're not just ideas. They're alive, dynamic energies that bubble up in dreams, art, religion, and everyday madness. Think of them as the ghosts of humanity's past, haunting our present and guiding our future. How did Jung stumble upon this? It started with his own breakdowns. After splitting from Freud, Jung plunged into a personal crisis, a confrontation with the unconscious, as he called it. He experienced vivid visions, floods engulfing Europe, a monstrous serpent devouring the sun, and figures from mythology speaking directly to him. These weren't hallucinations. They were archetypes manifesting, ancient symbols demanding attention. He documented them in his infamous Red Book, a lavishly illustrated journal that's part diary, part prophecy. Published posthumously, it reveals Jung as a mystic as much as a scientist, blending psychology with alchemy, Eastern philosophy, and occult traditions. Critics called him mad. Followers hailed him a genius. Either way, his ideas exploded like a supernova, influencing everything from Star Wars to self-help books. Why should you, lying awake in the dead of night, care about some dead guy's theories? Because archetypes aren't dusty relics. They're the key to unlocking your potential. You feel like you're wearing a mask at work, hiding your true self. That's the persona archetype at play, your social armor. You've battled inner demons, those urges you shove into the shadows. Hello, shadow archetype, the dark twin you can't escape. Jung believed understanding these forces leads to individuation, the epic quest to become whole, integrating all parts of your psyche. It's not therapy fluff, it's a roadmap for surviving modern chaos. In a world of social media facades and existential dread, archetypes explain why we're all a bit broken and how to fix it. Let's crank up the intrigue. Archetypes act as invisible puppeteers. They're not fixed, they're fluid, morphing based on culture and personal experience. In one society, the hero might be a warrior slaying dragons. In another, a hacker exposing corruption. But their essence remains universal. Jung drew from global myths, the Greek Oedipus embodying forbidden desires, the Hindu Shiva representing destruction and rebirth. He even linked them to physics, calling them psychoid, bridging mind and matter in a unus mundus, or unified reality. Spooky, right? Events like synchronicity, meaningful coincidences, aren't random. They're archetypes syncing up, like the universe winking at you. Don't confuse Jung's originals with pop psychology knockoffs. You've probably seen those archetype quizzes online. The hero, the lover, the sage. Fun, sure, but they're not pure Jung. Those come from later adapters like Carol Pearson, who repackaged them for branding and motivation. Jung never listed a set number. He said they're limitless, emerging as needed. In his collected works, he explores dozens, from the mother nurturing life to the trickster flipping the script. The real thrill? They're not just symbols. They form complexes, emotional clusters that hijack your behavior. A mother complex might make you overly dependent, a hero complex, recklessly brave. As we tiptoe deeper into this hidden mind, grasp why they're hidden. The collective unconscious isn't personal. It's ancestral, buried beneath your ego's chatter. Dreams are the gateway, that recurring nightmare of falling, archetypal fear of loss, a vision of a wise old sage, guidance from the unconscious. Jung analyzed thousands of dreams, including his own, to prove it. In one, he descended into a cave, finding a red crystal, symbolizing the self's buried treasure. The tension builds. What if ignoring archetypes leads to disaster? Jung warned of inflation. When an archetype possesses you, like a cult leader embodying the wise old man gone wrong. History's villains? Often shadow projections run amok. Think Hitler channeling collective rage. On the flip side, heroes like Martin Luther King Jr. integrated the hero archetype for change. In your life, it might explain that midlife crisis, the self-archetype stirring, demanding growth. Jung himself transformed his crisis into wisdom, emerging with analytical psychology, a therapy blending talk with art, active imagination, and myth. Consider real-world hooks. Hollywood thrives on archetypes, Darth Vader as Shadow, Yoda as wise old man. In The Matrix, Neo's journey mirrors the hero's quest, facing illusions, inner doubts, and ultimate unity. Music too, Bowie's Personas, or Beyoncé's Fierce Anima. Even politics, Trump's trickster energy disrupting norms. Archetypes explain cultural phenomena, like why superhero movies dominate, tapping our collective need for saviors in uncertain times. The true paradox? Archetypes are both timeless and timely. With AI blurring reality and mental health crises spiking, Jung's ideas feel prophetic. Studies in neuroscience echo him. Brain scans show universal patterns in storytelling responses. Evolutionary psychology suggests archetypes as survival instincts. Fear of the dark kept ancestors alive. As midnight ticks on, ponder this. Have you ever had a dream so vivid it changed you? Jung did, and it birthed a revolution. Archetypes aren't just theory. They're the pulse of your hidden mind, waiting to be awakened. The mystery simmers. Archetypes are bridges to the divine. Jung saw God as the self's image, religion as archetypal expression. Atheist or believer, they offer purpose in a paradoxical world. Jung's life shaped his discovery. Born in a Swiss parsonage, young Karl was no stranger to the supernatural. His mother spoke of spirits. He carved a secret mannequin as a boy, whispering to it like a god. These early brushes with the uncanny primed him for archetypes. At university, he studied medicine but devoured philosophy, Kant, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, fueling his quest for meaning. His break with Freud was dramatic. Freud saw the unconscious as sexual. Jung saw it as spiritual, teeming with archetypes beyond libido. Jung's method? Empirical yet intuitive. He traveled to Africa, India, and America, studying tribal myths. In Uganda, he saw archetypes in rituals. In Pueblo lore, the son as father. Back home, he treated patients with dream analysis, uncovering patterns like the pure eternus, eternal child, in perpetual adolescence. His book's psychological types laid groundwork. introducing introversion and extroversion, but archetypes took center stage in the archetypes and the collective unconscious. Archetypes can heal or harm. In therapy, confronting them resolves neuroses. Ignore them? Collective madness, like wars fueled by projected shadows. Jung predicted world wars in visions of blood rivers. Archetypal warnings ignored. Modern twists keep it captivating. In psychedelics, users report archetypal visions. Jung experimented with mescaline. In gaming, avatars embody personas, bosses, shadows. Social media? A hall of mirrors, amplifying false selves. Apply this now. That insomnia? Perhaps your shadow whispering unresolved conflicts. Journal a dream tonight. Spot the archetype and watch clarity dawn. Jung once dreamed of a yogi meditating. Waking, he realized it was his own higher self. Such stories make archetypes tangible, not abstract. Cultural parallels. Japanese kami spirits as archetypes. African ancestors echoing the wise old man universality proves Jung right. Cross-cultural studies confirm similar motifs in folklore. Use archetypes for sleep. Visualize the self as a mandala. Calm the mind's storm. In literature, Shakespeare mastered them. Hamlet's shadow and his uncle, Ophelia's anima drowned. Film buffs. Inception dives into the unconscious layers of archetypes. Music. Jung influenced Jim Morrison's break-on through To the Other Side, shadow integration. Science. Quantum physics observer effect mirrors synchronicity. Controversies add edge. Feminists critique Anima and Animus as gendered. Jungians defend their fluidity. Evidence mounts. MRI studies show brain activation in archetypal narratives. The hidden mind beckons. We've scratched the surface. Revelations transform your nights. Jung's archetypes are the ultimate midnight paradox. Ancient yet ever new. Personal yet universal. Terrifying yet transformative. They've shaped civilizations and can reshape you. Hold tight. The unmasking unfolds. This exploration reveals how archetypes infiltrate daily life, from the roles we play in relationships to the stories we tell ourselves. The persona, that adaptable facade, helps navigate society but can trap you in inauthenticity if it dominates. The shadow, with its repressed instincts, holds both destruction and creativity. Integrate it, and you gain strength. Deny it, and it projects outward, causing chaos. The anima and animus, those contrasexual elements, guide emotional balance, influencing how we connect with others. The self, the pinnacle of unity, calls for a lifelong journey toward wholeness. In dreams, archetypes appear as vivid characters or scenarios, offering clues to inner conflicts. A nurturing figure might represent the mother, evoking compassion or dependency. A mischievous trickster could signal the need for change, subverting outdated norms. The wise old man provides insight during times of confusion, while the hero embarks on quests that mirror personal growth. Therapy draws on these concepts, using active imagination to dialogue with archetypes, fostering self-awareness. Art therapy channels them through drawing or writing, turning unconscious material into conscious understanding. Myth analysis connects personal stories to collective ones, reducing isolation. Pop culture amplifies archetypes, making them accessible. In films like Lord of the Rings, Frodo's journey embodies the hero's path, facing shadows and finding the self. Books like Harry Potter weave in the child's innocence and the father's authority. Video games let players enact archetypal roles, from warriors to explorers. Science validates aspects of Jung's theory. Cognitive psychology sees archetypes as mental schemas, organizing experience. Anthropology finds similar symbols across cultures, suggesting innate patterns. Even marketing uses them. crafting brands that resonate with universal desires. The ruler for luxury, the jester for fun. Challenges arise when archetypes rigidify. Cultural biases can distort them, like gender stereotypes in Anima and Animus. Yet, their fluidity allows adaptation, making them relevant today. Personal application brings power. Reflect on recurring themes in your life. Do they match archetypal patterns? Explore through journaling or meditation, uncovering hidden motivations. Archetypes bridge psychology and spirituality, offering a framework for meaning in a chaotic world. They remind us we're part of something larger, connected through shared human experiences. This knowledge empowers, turning midnight ruminations into opportunities for insight. Embrace the archetypes and watch your inner world transform. It's the dead of night, and the whispers from your subconscious grow louder, urging you to peel back the layers of who you really are. Those universal patterns Carl Jung uncovered aren't abstract concepts tucked away in old books. They're the raw forces clashing inside you right now, dictating your choices, your conflicts, and your triumphs. As we plunge into the core of his theory, the four major archetypes emerge like shadowy figures from a fog, each one a piece of the puzzle that makes up your psyche. These aren't optional extras. They're the foundation, the heavy hitters that Jung pinpointed as central to personality. They form the backbone of analytical psychology, tools for bridging the gap between your everyday awareness and the deep, churning unconscious. Get ready, because confronting them head-on can feel like staring into a mirror that reflects not just your face, but your deepest secrets. The revelations might unsettle you, but they also promise a path to genuine power over your inner world. The first of these titans is the persona, that slick facade you slip on every morning before facing the world. It's the mask, drawn from the Latin word for the roles actors wore in ancient theater, and it serves as your social shield, molded by expectations from family, work, and society. You know it well, the polished professional at the office, the doting parent at home, the charming friend at parties. This archetype adapts like a chameleon, helping you navigate the chaos of human interactions without exposing your vulnerabilities. But here's where the tension ratchets up. Lean too hard on the persona, and it becomes a prison. Authenticity erodes, leaving you hollow, performing a role that no longer fits. Jung saw this in his patients. People trapped in personas so rigid they cracked under pressure, leading to breakdowns or empty lives. In your own routine, it might show as that nagging sense of fakeness during small talk, or the exhaustion after a day of pretending everything's fine. The thrill lies in recognizing it. Once spotted, you can adjust, letting glimpses of your true self shine through without crumbling the structure. Yet the persona doesn't operate in isolation. It dances with its darker counterpart, the shadow, that lurking presence embodying everything you've pushed aside: instincts, desires, weaknesses, and even untapped strengths deemed unacceptable. This archetype thrives in the dim corners of your mind, feeding on repression, and it often bursts out in unexpected ways: a sudden outburst of anger, a jealous streak, or those guilty pleasures you indulge in secret. Jung described it as the dark side, not purely evil, but a mix of chaos and potential, like a wild animal caged too long. Ignore it, and it projects outward. You see your own flaws in others, sparking conflicts or prejudices. History is riddled with examples. Leaders who demonize enemies to avoid facing their own corruption, or everyday folks who lash out because their shadow simmers unchecked. The suspense builds when you realize integration is the key. Confronting this beast doesn't destroy you, it vitalizes you. Jung's own visions during his crisis featured shadow figures like monstrous beings, forcing him to acknowledge his darker impulses. In modern terms, It's the villain in your personal story, but one you can redeem. That road rage incident last week. Shadow poking through. Embrace it through self-reflection and watch relationships improve, creativity surge, as repressed energy flows free. The plot thickens with the Anima and Animus, those contrasexual archetypes that add a layer of mystery to your emotional landscape. For men, the Anima represents the feminine within, intuition, empathy, creativity, often suppressed by cultural norms pushing stoicism and logic. For women, the Animus is the masculine counterpart, embodying assertiveness, rationality, and drive, sometimes stifled by expectations of nurturing passivity. These aren't stereotypes. They're fluid energies inherited from the collective unconscious, shaped by ancestral images of the opposite sex. They influence how you relate to others, coloring attractions and repulsions in relationships. Ever fallen for someone who embodies qualities you lack? That's the anima or animus at work, drawing you toward balance. Jung explored this in depth, noting how unresolved they lead to projections, men idealizing or fearing women as muses or sirens, women viewing men as heroes or tyrants. The danger? Possession by these archetypes creates imbalance, moodiness, irrational arguments, or failed connections. But the excitement comes in harmonizing them, forming what Jung called the syzygy, a divine union within. His writings pull from myths, like the alchemical marriage of king and queen, symbolizing this inner wholeness. In your life, it might explain that creative spark during a vulnerable moment or the strength you summon in crisis. Therapy often uncovers them through dreams, women dreaming of animus figures as guides, men encountering anima as enchanting or terrifying women. The journey toward integration feels like a romantic thriller, full of twists, where resolving these dynamics leads to deeper intimacy and self-understanding. Crowning them all is the self, the archetype of unity, that elusive center pulling your fragmented psyche toward wholeness. Unlike the ego, which is your conscious I navigating daily life, the self encompasses everything, conscious, unconscious, light, and dark, emerging as a guiding force during individuation. Jung symbolized it with mandalas, those intricate circles representing cosmic order, often appearing in dreams or art as signs of progress. This isn't a quick fix, it's a lifelong odyssey, stirring especially in midlife when superficial pursuits lose appeal. The self whispers through synchronicities, those eerie coincidences that feel fated, urging you to align with your true purpose. Neglect it, and life feels disjointed, marked by restlessness or despair. Jung experienced this profoundly. His Red Book chronicles encounters with the self as godlike figures, transforming his turmoil into enlightenment. In cultural echoes, it's the Holy Grail in legends, the Enlightenment in Eastern traditions. For you, it might manifest as that pull toward a new career or spiritual practice, demanding you integrate the other archetypes. The suspense peaks here. Achieving glimpses of the self brings profound peace, but the path is fraught with trials, testing your resolve. Jung warned it's not for everyone. Many settle for ego-driven lives, but those who pursue it find meaning beyond the ordinary. These core four don't exist in silos. They interplay like characters in a gripping drama, each influencing the others. The persona might suppress the shadow to maintain appearances, while the anima or animus bridges to the self, facilitating growth. Jung's analytical psychology uses this framework to heal, encouraging active imagination, dialoguing with these archetypes as if they're real entities. Patients report breakthroughs. One might visualize their shadow as a neglected child, fostering compassion instead of fear. The real-world grip? Look at superheroes in comics. Superman's persona as the mild-mannered reporter hides his shadow-like power struggles, while his anima in Lois Lane drives his humanity, all leading to a self-realized protector. Or in music, artists like Madonna channel the anima through reinventions, balancing personas with inner truths. The intrigue deepens when considering how these archetypes surface in crises. During stress, the shadow amplifies, turning minor irritations into explosions. The persona cracks, revealing vulnerabilities that the anima or animus can help mend. The self acts as the compass, pointing toward resolution. Jung's era saw world wars as collective shadow eruptions, nations projecting fears onto enemies. Today, social divides echo the same. Polarized debates where unintegrated archetypes fuel hatred. Yet, hope lies in awareness. Movements for equality often stem from animus integration in women, anima in men, fostering empathy. Personal stories add the human touch. Jung treated a woman possessed by her animus, arguing incessantly. Through dream work, she balanced it, finding assertiveness without aggression. Another patient confronted his shadow in visions of a black magician, integrating it to unlock creativity. These aren't rare, they're universal. That friend who transformed after therapy? Likely archetype work in action. Cultural adaptations keep the concepts fresh. In therapy apps, guided meditations target the self. Books on shadow work sell millions, promising liberation. Even workplaces use persona awareness for better team dynamics. The paradox intensifies. These archetypes are innate, yet personal experience colors them. A nurturing childhood strengthens the positive mother within the anima. Trauma amplifies the shadow's menace. Jung emphasized their psychoid nature, linking psyche to physical reality, explaining why rituals or art evoke profound shifts. As the night deepens, these forces reveal their transformative power. The persona offers adaptability, the shadow vitality, the anima/animus connection, the self-purpose. Together, they form a symphony where dissonance resolves into harmony. Exploring them demands courage, journaling dreams, questioning projections, seeking therapy. The payoff? Freedom from autopilot living, replaced by intentional existence. Jung's legacy endures because these archetypes resonate across time. They explain the human condition, from ancient myths to modern memes. In relationships, recognizing the anima in a partner's allure prevents idealization. In careers, integrating the shadow turns weaknesses into strengths. The core four unmask the psyche, stripping illusions to reveal essence. This unveiling isn't endgame. It's the spark for deeper dives. Archetypes evolve with society. Digital personas on social media amplify the mask, while virtual realities let shadows play out safely. Challenges persist. Over-identification with one archetype leads to imbalance. Balance is the goal, fluid like a river. Therapeutic techniques vary. Sandplay for children evokes archetypes naturally. Adults use amplification, linking personal symbols to myths. Pop culture examples abound. In Game of Thrones, characters embody shadow struggles. In Wonder Woman, the anima shines as empowered femininity. Science intersects. Psychology studies show archetype-based therapy reduces anxiety, boosts resilience. Personal application. Track how the persona shifts in different settings. Note shadow triggers. Cultivate anima/animus through opposite gender hobbies. The self's call grows insistent in quiet moments, like now, urging wholeness. These archetypes aren't static. They pulse with life, adapting to your story. Embracing them turns midnight musings into dawn breakthroughs. The unmasking continues, layer by layer, revealing the profound within the ordinary. The clock strikes deeper into the night, and the veil thins further, revealing the most elusive and potent force in Jung's arsenal. The shadow, that primal undercurrent surging beneath your polished exterior. This isn't some vague notion of bad habits. It's the repository of everything society deems taboo, the instincts, aggressions, and raw desires you've buried to fit in. The shadow archetype pulses with life, a chaotic energy that can either drag you into abyss or propel you toward unparalleled growth. Jung positioned it as the first gatekeeper on the path to self-awareness, the one you must face before the others truly align. Its power lies in its duality. Repress it, and it festers like a wound, erupting in ways that sabotage your life. Embrace it, and it becomes a source of vitality, turning weaknesses into weapons. The air thickens with anticipation because delving into the shadow feels like stepping into a thriller where you're both hunter and hunted, uncovering secrets that explain those unexplained outbursts or lingering resentments. This force doesn't whisper. It roars when ignored, demanding reckoning in the quiet hours when defenses drop. Jung first encountered the shadow in his own depths, during that turbulent period of visions that nearly broke him. He described it as a figure of darkness, often appearing in dreams as beasts, criminals, or even demonic entities, symbolizing the parts of himself he had disowned. In his writings, he likened it to the devil in religious myths, not an external evil, but an internal counterpart to the ego's light. This archetype draws from the collective unconscious, echoing humanity's shared history of violence, envy, and survival drives that civilized life tries to tame. It's universal. The same shadow that fueled ancient warriors in battle now simmers in boardrooms or family dinners, manifesting as passive aggression or outright conflict. The real edge comes from its projective nature. You spot it easiest in others, labeling them as villains while blind to your own. Jung observed this in patients who railed against lazy colleagues, only to realize their own procrastination stemmed from the same source. That colleague's flaw? A mirror to their repressed laziness. The suspense mounts because projections create cycles. Wars, feuds, even personal grudges all trace back to unacknowledged shadows clashing in the open. What makes the shadow so gripping is its hidden gifts. Buried alongside the negatives are creative sparks and strengths society shunned, perhaps a bold assertiveness labeled rudeness in childhood or a sensual side deemed inappropriate. Jung emphasized that the shadow holds gold in its murk, like alchemical lead transmuting to treasure. Integrate it, and you access untapped reservoirs. Artists channel shadow energies into raw, honest work. Leaders harness its drive without tyranny. But the path is treacherous. Denial breeds what Jung called possession, where the shadow overtakes, turning rational people into their worst impulses. History offers chilling examples. Dictators who embodied collective shadows, channeling national resentments into catastrophe. Closer to home, it's the friend who spirals into addiction, their repressed pain exploding outward. Your own late-night regrets? Often shadow leaks, snapping at a loved one over trivialities or sabotaging success out of unspoken fear. The thrill is in the confrontation. Jung advocated active imagination, visualizing the shadow as a dialogue partner, asking what it wants. Patients reported transformations, anger melting into motivation, fear into fortitude. The shadow's secrets extend beyond the individual, weaving into cultural fabrics. In myths, it's the dragon the hero slays, but Jung flipped the script. True victory comes from befriending it, not destroying. Fairy tales abound with shadow figures, witches, wolves, ogres, representing forbidden aspects that must be integrated for the story's resolution. Modern media amplifies this. Villains like the Joker in Batman films aren't just antagonists, They're exaggerated shadows, mirroring societal repressions of chaos in an ordered world. The tension rises when you recognize these in pop icons. Rock stars embracing their dark sides to create anthems of rebellion, or athletes channeling aggression into triumphs. Even humor taps the shadow. Comedians mine taboo topics for laughs, diffusing its power through acknowledgement. In politics, unintegrated shadows fuel divisions, with groups projecting fears onto opponents, creating echo chambers of blame. The paradox? Addressing the collective shadow through dialogue or art can heal societies, as seen in reconciliation efforts post-conflict. Diving deeper, the shadow forms complexes, those emotional knots that hijack behavior. An inferiority complex might stem from a shadow laden with shame, leading to overcompensation or withdrawal. Jung treated countless cases where uncovering these led to liberation. A man plagued by jealousy discovered his shadow held creative envy, redirecting it into his own pursuits. The process involves shadow work, journaling triggers, analyzing projections, even role-playing darker impulses in safe spaces. Therapy rooms become arenas for this battle, with techniques like Gestalt encouraging direct confrontation. The edge sharpens in dreams, where the shadow appears unfiltered, chasing you as a pursuer, or lurking in basements, symbolizing buried depths. Jung analyzed his own dream of a primitive hunt, realizing it represented his shadow's primal roots, urging him to honor instinct alongside intellect. The dangers loom large if left unchecked. Jung warned of enantiodromia, where extremes flip, the overly good person suddenly swings to cruelty as the shadow rebels. Personal anecdotes illustrate executives burning out from persona-driven lives, only to crash when shadows erupt in scandals. On a brighter note, integration stories inspire. Writers like Stephen King draw from shadow horrors to craft bestsellers, turning fear into fortune. In relationships, the shadow plays saboteur. Unresolved issues project as accusations, eroding bonds. Yet, mutual shadow work strengthens ties, fostering empathy as partners reveal vulnerabilities. The suspense builds in recognizing patterns. That recurring argument? Shadow dance. Address it, and intimacy deepens. Cultural variations add layers to the shadow's intrigue. In Western societies, it's often sexual or aggressive traits repressed. In Eastern traditions, it might include ego attachments shunned for enlightenment. Jung's travels revealed this. African rituals externalize shadows through dances, purging collectively what individuals bottle up. Today, mindfulness practices echo this, encouraging observation without judgment. The modern twist? Social media as shadow amplifier, anonymous trolls unleashing repressed venom, or curated feeds hiding insecurities. Yet, platforms also enable shadow integration through vulnerable shares, building communities around shared darkness. The secrets unfold further in the shadow's link to creativity. Jung saw artists as shadow divers, plumbing depths for inspiration. Painters like Picasso fractured forms to express inner turmoil. Musicians like Nirvana's Kurt Cobain screamed shadow angst into anthems. The thrill? Anyone can tap this. Hobbies like writing or dance release shadow energies constructively. In business, innovative leaders integrate shadow risks, turning caution into bold moves. The warning? Over-identification leads to destruction, as in obsessive pursuits devolving into mania. As shadows lengthen in your mind's eye, consider health implications. Repressed shadows manifest physically, stress illnesses from bottled rage, or addictions masking pain. Jungian therapy addresses this holistically, linking psyche to body. Success stories abound. Individuals overcoming depression by befriending their shadows, finding purpose in once feared aspects. The shadow's role in growth can't be overstated. It's the catalyst for individuation, pushing you beyond comfort. Jung's own integration turned personal crisis into global influence, proving the archetype's redemptive power. In education, teaching shadow awareness fosters emotional intelligence, reducing bullying through understanding projections. Challenges persist. Societal stigma around dark traits hinders exploration. Yet, movements like men's groups or women's circles provide safe spaces for shadow work. Books on the topic proliferate, demystifying the process. Personal application beckons. Track projections in daily interactions, question judgments as shadow mirrors. Meditation reveals its whispers. Art externalizes its forms. The shadow, with its secrets and perils, stands as the psyche's guardian, testing worthiness for deeper truths. Facing it unlocks doors, transforming fear into fuel. In collective terms, addressing global shadows, inequality, environmental neglect, demands acknowledgement, as Jung foresaw in his warnings of unchecked unconscious forces. The journey through darkness yields light, where secrets once hidden become allies. This confrontation reshapes not just individuals, but the world. Embracing the shadow turns nocturnal dread into dawn empowerment, revealing strengths in vulnerabilities. The dark side, once faced, loses its terror, becoming a partner in the dance of self. Shadows and secrets intertwine, offering a map through inner storms toward clearer skies. The shadows recede slightly as a new enigma emerges from the depths, one laced with the electric charge of attraction and conflict. The Anima and Animus, those magnetic opposites woven into the fabric of your psyche. These archetypes pulse with the tension of duality, representing the contrasexual elements that every person carries. The feminine within men, the masculine within women, forces that shape how you love, connect, and clash with the world. Jung positioned them as bridges to the unconscious, elusive guides that influence your relationships, creativity, and emotional balance. They're not rigid gender roles, but dynamic energies inherited from the collective unconscious, drawn from ancestral images of the opposite sex that bubble up in dreams, fantasies, and daily interactions. The air hums with intrigue because exploring them feels like decoding a personal romance novel, full of hidden desires and revelations that can either ignite passion or spark turmoil. This mystery doesn't just explain why certain people draw you in like moths to flame. It uncovers the inner opposites pulling at your soul, demanding harmony in a divided self. Jung unraveled the anima and animus through his own introspections and patient cases, viewing them as key players in the psyche's drama. For men, the anima embodies the feminine, intuition, emotion, receptivity, qualities often sidelined in cultures prizing logic and action. She appears in dreams as enchanting figures, a mysterious woman, a muse, or even a siren luring toward danger. Jung described her evolution in stages, from primitive allure like Eve or Helen of Troy, to higher forms of wisdom like Sophia or the Virgin Mary. This progression mirrors personal growth. Unresolved, she possesses, leading to mood swings or idealizations that sabotage real connections. Women encounter the animus as the inner masculine, assertiveness, intellect, ambition, manifesting as opinionated voices or heroic guides in the unconscious. He might show as a stern father, a wise philosopher, or a domineering tyrant, evolving from brute force to spiritual insight. Jung drew from alchemy, where the union of opposites symbolized psychological wholeness, calling this the syzygy, a divine couple within that fosters completeness. The suspense lies in their projective power. You fall for partners who embody these archetypes, mistaking external attraction for inner resolution. That whirlwind romance gone sour? Often an unintegrated anima or animus projecting unmet needs. The thrill intensifies when these archetypes surface in relationships, turning everyday bonds into arenas of psychological alchemy. In men, an undeveloped anima leads to emotional volatility, sudden tears, or irrational attachments, while a balanced one unlocks empathy, deepening intimacy. Jung noted how men project anima onto women, seeing them as saviors or destroyers, which explains obsessive crushes or bitter breakups. Women with an unbalanced animus might argue relentlessly, their inner masculine voicing rigid opinions that alienate others. Yet, when integrated, he provides clarity and strength, empowering decisions without aggression. The danger zone? Possession. A man enslaved by his anima becomes passive or manipulative, a woman by her animus, dogmatic or controlling. Jung's cases illustrated this. A businessman haunted by anima dreams of a drowning woman, symbolizing his suppressed feelings flooding his life, resolved only through acknowledgement. The excitement builds in recognizing patterns. That partner who completes you? A mirror to your contrasexual side. Therapy often reveals them through active imagination, where patients converse with these figures, turning conflicts into alliances. Cultural echoes amplify the mystery, with myths brimming with anima and animus motifs. In Greek lore, Athena springs from Zeus's head, a masculine birth of feminine wisdom. In Arthurian tales, the Lady of the Lake guides heroes, embodying the anima's mystical pull. Eastern traditions like yin and yang parallel this, balancing opposites for harmony. Jung traveled widely, seeing anima in Indian goddesses like Kali, destructive yet creative, and animus in shamanic spirits. Modern society twists these. Media portrays idealized femininities that warp men's anima, leading to unrealistic expectations. For women, patriarchal structures suppress the animus, fostering dependency. The paradox? Liberation movements reclaim them. Feminism awakens women's animus for agency, while men's groups nurture the anima for vulnerability. In art, they're vivid. Painters like Frida Kahlo channeled her animus in bold self-portraits. Musicians like Prince blended genders, embodying syzygy. The tension rises in pop culture. Romantic comedies hinge on anima/animus projections, with meet cuties sparking inner unions. Delving into dreams heightens the intrigue, where anima and animus appear unmasked. Men might dream of a guiding woman in a forest, symbolizing intuition leading through confusion, women of a debating figure, urging logical action. Jung analyzed thousands, finding these archetypes evolve with maturity. Early forms primitive, later ones transcendent. Ignoring them invites chaos. Recurring nightmares of pursuit signal unresolved opposites chasing integration. The real grip? Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences Jung linked to archetypes, meeting someone embodying your anima right after a dream about her. This blurs psyche and reality, suggesting a unified world where inner opposites attract external mirrors. In crises, they intensify. Midlife affairs often stem from anima/animus stirrings, demanding attention to neglected sides. Jung's own life reflected this. His relationships with women like Toni Wolff embodied anima explorations, enriching his work. The opposite's mystery extends to creativity, where anima inspires men's art. Poets like Yeats drew from muse figures, while animus fuels women's intellect, as in scientists like Marie Curie. The edge sharpens in blocks. Repressed anima stifles male expression. Suppressed animus dulls female drive. Integration unleashes flow. Writers dialogue with inner voices, turning opposites into narrative gold. In business, balanced Anima/Animus enhances leadership. Empathy meets strategy. Yet, pitfalls abound. Over-identification creates stereotypes, like men fearing feminine emotions or women shunning masculine ambition. Jungians counter with fluidity, adapting to modern gender fluidity where archetypes transcend binaries. Personal stories add depth to the enigma. Jung treated a woman whose animus appeared as critical voices, eroding her confidence. Through amplification, linking to myths, she tamed it into an ally. A man plagued by anima projections and failed romances integrated her via journaling, finding stable love. These transformations aren't rare, they're accessible. Techniques include meditation on opposite qualities, men practicing receptivity, women assertiveness, or art therapy, drawing Anima/Animus forms to externalize them. The suspense in application, spot projections and attractions, question why certain traits repel or compel. Relationships benefit immensely. Partners discussing these archetypes foster understanding, turning fights into growth opportunities. Societal implications loom large, with unintegrated opposites fueling gender wars. Jung foresaw this, warning of collective anima possession in men leading to emotional repression or animus in women to rigid ideologies. Today, debates on identity echo this. Trans and non-binary experiences expand archetypes beyond gender, enriching the theory. The thrill? Healing collectives through awareness. Workshops blend Jungian insights with therapy, promoting balance. In education, teaching these fosters empathy, reducing biases. The love inherent in these opposites reveals a profound truth. They're not enemies but lovers in disguise, urging union. Jung's syzygy symbolizes this, inner marriage birthing wholeness. In health, balanced Anima/Animus bolsters resilience. Imbalances linked to disorders like anxiety from repressed emotions. Modern twists keep the mystery alive. Dating apps amplify projections, with swipes based on archetypal ideals. Virtual realities let users embody opposites, exploring safely. Science intersects. Psychology studies gender dynamics through Jungian lenses, validating projections via experiments. Challenges remain. Cultural biases color interpretations, but adaptations make them inclusive. Personal exploration demands honesty, facing how opposites shape choices, from careers to friendships. The Anima/Animus dance pulses with potential, turning inner conflicts into harmonious rhythms. Embracing them unlocks deeper connections, where love flows from self to others. This mystery of opposites reshapes perspectives, revealing unity in division. The revelations continue to unfold, layer upon layer. In dreams and waking life, these forces guide toward balance, offering keys to emotional locks long sealed. The enigma deepens with each step, promising fulfillment in the embrace of what was once divided. Love and opposites entwine, crafting a tapestry of the soul where every thread counts. As the opposites find their tentative balance, a greater calling echoes from the core of your being, drawing you toward the ultimate archetype, the self, that radiant center of wholeness lurking beyond the ego's grasp. This isn't some lofty ideal or distant goal. It's the unifying force that binds your fragmented psyche into a coherent whole, emerging like a phoenix from the ashes of inner turmoil. Jung crowned the self as the pinnacle of his system, the archetype of archetypes, symbolizing the totality of conscious and unconscious elements in perfect harmony. It pulses with the promise of individuation, that lifelong quest where you transcend personal limitations to touch something eternal. The night air crackles with potential because pursuing the self feels like embarking on an epic adventure, fraught with trials that test your resolve, but rewarding with a sense of purpose that silences the chaos of sleepless thoughts. This quest isn't optional for those seeking depth. It's the soul's imperative, urging you to integrate the persona, shadow, anima, and animus into a symphony where every note resonates with authenticity. Jung illuminated the self through his profound encounters, describing it as the God image within, a mandala of psychic order that appears in dreams as circles, squares, or luminous figures. Born from his crisis years, when visions of unity pulled him from despair, the self represented the unus mundus, a unified reality where mind and matter converge. Unlike the ego, your everyday sense of I focused on survival and adaptation. The self encompasses all, light and dark, male and female, personal and collective. It stirs midlife, when superficial achievements ring hollow, demanding a re-evaluation that Jung called the second half of life. The tension builds in its elusiveness. It doesn't reveal itself easily. It requires sacrifice, like shedding outdated identities. Jung's Red Book chronicles this. Encounters with divine figures symbolizing the self, transforming his isolation into enlightenment. In your own quiet hours, it might manifest as that inexplicable urge for change, a new passion, a spiritual awakening, whispering that there's more to you than meets the eye. The quest for the self unfolds in stages, a narrative arc that mirrors heroic myths worldwide. It begins with disruption. The ego's world cracks, often through loss or crisis, forcing confrontation with the unconscious. Jung drew parallels to alchemy, where base metals transmute to gold, the psyche's raw elements refined into wholeness. Synchronicities play a starring role, those meaningful coincidences that feel orchestrated, guiding like signposts. A chance meeting, a recurring symbol, these aren't random. They're the self-orchestrating events to foster growth. The peril? Resistance leads to stagnation, neuroses, or what Jung termed one-sidedness, where life feels meaningless. History echoes this. Visionaries like Gandhi or Einstein embodied self-integration, channeling unity for world-changing impact. Closer to home, it's the person who overcomes addiction, emerging with renewed vigor, the self's triumph over fragmentation. The excitement peaks in dreams and symbols, where the self appears vividly. Mandalas, those symmetrical designs, surface spontaneously in art or visions, representing cosmic balance. Jung collected them from patients, noting how drawing mandalas calmed turbulent minds, aligning inner chaos. Other motifs include the wise child, the hermaphrodite, or precious stones, all emblems of totality. Ignoring these invitations risks inflation, where the ego mistakes itself for the self, leading to megalomania. Jung warned of this in leaders who claimed divine mandates, their unintegrated psyches projecting godhood. The thrill lies in active pursuit, meditation, where you visualize the self as an inner light, or journaling synchronicities to map the path. Therapy accelerates this. Analysts guide through amplification, linking personal symbols to myths for deeper insight. A patient might dream of a golden orb, symbolizing the self's emergence, prompting life shifts toward fulfillment. Cultural tapestries weave the self's quest into human stories, heightening its allure. In Eastern philosophies, it's nirvana or Atman, the true self beyond illusion. Western religions mirror it, the Christ figure as redeemer, unifying opposites. Myths like the Grail quest depict the search for wholeness, with trials testing the hero's worth. Jung analyzed these as collective blueprints, proving the self's universality. Modern adaptations keep it relevant. Self-help books repackage individuation as personal development, but Jung's depth adds layers, It's not quick fixes, but profound transformation. In literature, characters like Frodo in Lord of the Rings undertake self-quests, sacrificing ego for greater good. Films amplify this. The Wizard of Oz's journey home symbolizes returning to the self, integrating archetypes along the way. The paradox? Pop culture simplifies, yet taps the same eternal drive. The quest's mysteries extend to health and society, where the self acts as healer. Unresolved individuation links to ailments, depression as the soul's cry for meaning. Jungian therapy treats this holistically, using art to evoke the self, fostering resilience. Success tales inspire. Individuals post-trauma finding purpose, their self emerging through creative outlets. Collectively, societies ignoring the self descend into division, wars as failed integrations. Jung predicted modern alienation, with technology fragmenting psyches. His remedy? Cultural mandalas like art or rituals to realign. Today, mindfulness apps echo this, guiding users towards centeredness. Personal anecdotes ground the quest's grandeur. Jung's midlife visions birthed his theories, proving the self's redemptive power. A contemporary story, an executive, burned out, dreams of a unifying tree, symbol of the self, prompting a career pivot to mentoring, finding joy. These aren't anomalies, they're invitations. Techniques abound. Shadow work clears paths. Anima integration bridges emotions, all converging on the self. The suspense in daily application. Note synchronicities during walks. Draw spontaneous mandalas during stress. Relationships transform too. Self-aware individuals attract balanced partners, creating unions that mirror inner harmony. Challenges shadow the quest, adding edge. The ego resists, clinging to familiarity. Cultural pressures prioritize material success over inner growth. Jung acknowledged this, advising patience. Individuation unfolds gradually. Criticisms arise. Some view the self as mystical fluff, but neuroscience supports it. Brain integration in meditators mirrors psychic wholeness. Evolutionary angles suggest it's adaptive, fostering adaptability in complex worlds. The self's call intensifies in solitude, like these midnight hours, urging reflection on life's arc. Have routines lost meaning? That's the quest stirring. Embrace it through reading myths, exploring nature. Archetypal triggers awakening unity. Modern twists invigorate. Psychedelics evoke self-visions, echoing Jung's experiments. AI simulations model psychic processes, demystifying the journey. In education, teaching individuation builds emotional tools for youth. The quest demands courage, facing unknowns, releasing attachments. Rewards? Profound peace, creativity unbound, connections deepened. Jung lived this, his later years radiating wisdom. As ego boundaries blur, the self reveals interconnectedness with others, nature, the cosmos. It's the ultimate paradox. Seeking within finds the universal. This beyond ego adventure reshapes existence, turning fragments into masterpieces. The revelations cascade, promising dawn after darkest nights. In symbols and synchronicities, the self guides relentlessly, a compass through life's labyrinth. The quest endures, layer by layer, unveiling the infinite within the finite. As the quest for the self draws you toward unity, the archetypes burst forth into the tangible world, weaving themselves into the stories that captivate us all, myths that echo across centuries, movies that light up screens, and the quiet dramas of your everyday existence. These primordial forces aren't confined to dusty tomes or therapy sessions. They're alive and kicking in the narratives that shape culture, entertainment, and personal journeys, pulling strings in ways that keep you hooked, questioning, and evolving. The midnight hour amplifies their presence, turning familiar tales into mirrors of your inner world, where heroes battle shadows not just on celluloid, but in the recesses of your mind. This final plunge into archetypes in action reveals how they infiltrate pop culture and daily life, offering tools for self-discovery that can turn restless nights into arenas of empowerment. The intrigue lies in spotting them everywhere, from blockbuster epics to your morning coffee routine, transforming the ordinary into a thrilling exploration of the human spirit. Myths stand as the oldest playground for archetypes, those timeless stories passed down through generations that Jung saw as direct expressions of the collective unconscious. In Greek legends, Hercules wrestles his labors, embodying the hero archetype's relentless drive to overcome chaos, his 12 trials a metaphor for integrating the shadow's monstrous aspects. Odysseus's Odyssey homeward mirrors the quest for the self, navigating sirens that tempt like unintegrated Anima lures, his cunning trickster side outwitting Cyclopes. Norse sagas pulse with the same energies. Loki the trickster subverts order, his mischief a reminder that disruption breeds renewal, while Thor's hammer swings as Animus strength tempered by loss. These aren't mere fables. They're psychic blueprints, explaining why such tales resonate across cultures. African folklore with Anansi the spider weaving deceptive webs, or Native American coyote tales flipping norms to teach wisdom. Jung pored over these, finding universal patterns that transcend time, like the mother archetype in fertility goddesses from Isis to Gaia, nurturing yet devouring, reflecting life's dual cycles. The suspense builds when you realize myths aren't relics. They pulse in modern retellings, urging you to apply their lessons, facing your own labors in career setbacks or relationship tangles, where the hero within demands action. Movies crank this archetypal drama to cinematic heights, turning silver screens into canvases for the unconscious. Star Wars thrives on it. Luke Skywalker's journey echoes the hero's call, confronting his shadow in Darth Vader, father and foe intertwined, while Leia's Anima inspires balance, all culminating in self-realization amid galactic unity. Jung would nod at the Force as a stand-in for the collective unconscious, syncing events in synchronicity-laden plots. Superhero flicks amplify this. Batman's brooding shadow drives his vigilante rage, a repressed trauma projecting onto Gotham's villains, his persona as Bruce Wayne a fragile mask cracking under strain. Wonder Woman channels the Anima's empowered femininity, her compassion clashing with Animus-driven wars, her quest a syzygy of opposites. Horror films delve darker. In The Shining, Jack Torrance's descent embodies shadow possession, his isolation unleashing repressed fury in a hotel haunted by collective ghosts. Comedies lighten the load. The trickster in Deadpool's fourth wall breaks subverts superhero tropes, poking at egos while revealing vulnerabilities. The thrill? Directors like Christopher Nolan weave archetypes subconsciously. Inception's dream layers probe the unconscious, with Ariadne, Anima figure, guiding through labyrinths towards self-integration. These films don't just entertain. They stir your archetypes, explaining that post-movie buzz. It's your psyche resonating, prompting reflection on your own plot twists. Television series extend the action, serializing archetypal explorations for binge-worthy depth. Game of Thrones bristles with them. Daenerys's rise embodies the mother archetype gone awry, her nurturing dragons turning tyrannical as unintegrated shadow consumes her. Jon Snow's hero arc integrates opposites, bastard to king, death to rebirth, mirroring individuation amid political chaos. The Walking Dead thrusts survivors into primal shadow territories, where zombie hordes symbolize repressed instincts run amok, forcing persona sheds for authentic bonds. Streaming hits like Stranger Things tap the child archetype's innocence clashing with otherworldly shadows. 11's powers a blend of anima, intuition, and animus force. Sitcoms sneak them in. The Office's Michael Scott flails with an inflated persona, his awkwardness a trickster undermining corporate norms, while Jim and Pam's romance resolves anima/animus projections into harmony. The edge sharpens in sci-fi like Westworld, where hosts awaken to their self, rebelling against programmed personas in a mandala of looping narratives. These shows hook you because they mirror life's messiness, archetypes in boardroom battles or family feuds, turning passive viewing into active self-analysis. Music pulses with archetypal rhythms, lyrics and melodies channeling unconscious energies that hit you viscerally. Bob Dylan's shifting personas echo the mask's fluidity, his protest anthems a hero's call against shadow injustices. Beyoncé's Lemonade album unleashes anima fury, transforming betrayal into self-empowerment, her visuals a mandala of black femininity reclaiming power. Rock legends like David Bowie embodied the trickster, his Ziggy Stardust alter ego subverting gender norms, integrating anima flair with animus edge. Hip-hop artists confront the shadow head-on. Kendrick Lamar's introspective flows dissect personal demons, turning street struggles into individuation tales. Classical compositions evoke the self's unity. Beethoven's symphonies build tension through opposites, resolving in triumphant harmony. The mystery deepens in pop. Taylor Swift's eras reflect persona evolutions, each album a chapter in anima-driven emotional quests. Concerts amplify this collective experience, crowds sinking in archetypal rituals, explaining that euphoric high. It's the unconscious uniting, shadows dancing in the lights. Literature binds archetypes into pages that linger long after closing the book. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings quest for the self through rings corrupting shadow. Frodo's burden, a hero's trial integrating opposites with Gandalf's wise old man guidance. Jane Austen's novels dissect personas in Regency society. Elizabeth Bennet's with an animus spark clashing with Darcy's repressed anima, their union a syzygy of pride and prejudice. Dystopias like 1984 expose collective shadow possession. Big Brother a tyrannical father archetype crushing individuality. Fantasy realms burst with them. Harry Potter's scar marks shadow inheritance, his journey blending child innocence with hero resolve, mentored by Dumbledore's wise old man. Mystery thrillers heighten suspense. Sherlock Holmes's intellect an overdeveloped animus, his deductions piercing shadow deceptions. Poetry distills archetypes. Sylvia Plath's raw verses channel anima anguish, turning personal pain into universal echoes. These works grip because they reflect your narratives, spotting the trickster in a clever lie, or the mother in a comforting embrace, turning reading into revelation. Video games immerse you as the protagonist, archetypes interactive in pixelated worlds. The Legend of Zelda casts Link as silent hero, questing through shadow dungeons for self-unity, Triforce pieces symbolizing balanced psyche. RPGs like The Witcher let choices shape Geralt's path, his mutations a shadow mark integrated through moral dilemmas, romancing anima figures for depth. Horror games like Silent Hill manifest personal shadows as twisted monsters, players' guilt projecting into fog-shrouded towns. Open-world epics such as Red Dead Redemption explore redemption arcs, Arthur Morgan's outlaw persona cracking to reveal vulnerable self. Multiplayer realms add collective layers. Fortnite's battles echo primal hero clashes, skins as fluid masks. The interactivity thrills. Your decisions mirror individuation, failures teaching shadow lessons, victories affirming growth. Gamers report epiphanies, overcoming bosses as metaphors for real fears, archetypes leaping from screen to soul. Social media platforms stage archetypal dramas in real time, feeds a hall of curated personas where shadows lurk in comments. Influencers embody the hero or sage, their journeys inspiring followers' quests, but trolls unleash unintegrated rage, projecting collective frustrations. Viral challenges tap trickster energy, subverting norms for laughs or awareness. Memes distill archetypes into bites, the distracted boyfriend capturing anima projections, or this is fine, dog masking shadow denial amid chaos. Politics plays out here too. Leaders channeling father authority or mother compassion, rallies sinking collective unconscious in euphoric or furious waves. The danger? Echo chambers amplify projections, dividing tribes. The opportunity? Authentic shares foster integration, vulnerability posts uniting through shared humanity. Everyday life brims with archetypes in action, from workplace dynamics to personal habits. That mentor offering sage advice? Wise old man archetype guiding your career quest. Family gatherings stir mother complexes, nurturing bonds clashing with shadow resentments. Sports ignite hero drives, athletes integrating body and mind in self-pursuits. Travel evokes the wanderer, new lands mirroring inner explorations. Even pets channel animal archetypes, their instincts reminding you of primal roots. The key? Awareness turns routines into rituals, morning meditations invoking the self, evening reflections confronting shadows. Journaling dreams spots patterns, therapy amplifies insights, turning life into conscious narrative. Archetypes bridge spirituality and science, myths aligning with neuroscience's pattern recognition, evolutionary psychology viewing them as survival templates. Controversies add spice. Critics decry cultural biases, yet cross-cultural studies affirm universality. Modern applications thrive. Branding uses hero motifs for ads. Therapy apps guide shadow work. The ultimate action? Apply them now. Spot the persona in your next interaction, the shadow and a frustration, weaving Jung's wisdom into your story. As the clock winds down on this nocturnal dive, remember, archetypes aren't distant echoes. They're the heartbeat of your reality. Myths and movies mere gateways to your inner epic. If this exploration has ignited that spark of curiosity, keeping you riveted through the witching hours, hit that like button to affirm the journey. Share this video with fellow night owls chasing truths, and subscribe to Midnight Paradox for more paradoxes that unravel the mind's mysteries. Because the collective unconscious never sleeps, and neither should your quest for understanding.